I felt, oh man, I got so many emotions rushing back. Do you know, like the last time I sat down and listened to that song from beginning to end, like, and remembering being in my drummer Nick Rapley's like home studio, like in Flatbush, like recording track after track after track, and like everybody being in this super hot closet to sing and yell like "You're a liar!" Like I threw the entire band in the room, and then we were like, we still need more. So it was like guitars on 12 strings on mandolins. Like I've never put so many like tracks in a song ever before, but that was
Epic.
so fun.
Welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party, your weekly musical happy hour where musicians pick an album from their back catalog and tell the stories behind their favorite tracks in front of a live online audience.
This week we talk with queer, Black protest singer-songwriter and podcast host Lizzie No. We revisit her 2017 album Vanity, talk about her path from classical harpist to punk-influenced Americana songwriter, and explore the epic sound she got from this album recorded in a Brooklyn apartment. So pour a beverage, grab a snack, and kick back as we listen to music together here on the Back Catalog Listening Party, where it's always Friday and old albums never sounded better. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us from our home in Nashville, Tennessee, Lizzie No.
Hello. Oh my God, the applause noises. Also, your theme music is bumping. I love it.
You know what? It's an
Who
Anthony
played that?
Ihrig original.
It's so good.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's a great recording.
Thank you. Thank you. And we got people showing up to the party early here today. Connie from Richfield. Hey, Connie,
Hi,
how
Connie.
are you?
And Joe joining us from South Minneapolis. Yeah.
Hello.
All right.
That's where Tony and I hail from. And it's a beautiful summer day, evening.
Yes. It might be after Labor Day, but it's still summer.
Oh,
yeah, I'm thrilled to hear you say that. People who are like, okay, bye, summer. I don't accept that.
I agree. I mean, I get that school starts, but weather-wise, at least in Minnesota, it's the best time of year. Love
It really
September. And of course, then you get to hear Earth, Wind, and Fire on repeat.
Yes.
All month long. But today it's all about Lizzie No, and we're so excited to have her joining us. And if you are joining us, please let us know where you're tuned in from. If you're enjoying a beverage or a snack for our weekly happy hour gathering. Tony, are you enjoying a beverage of some kind?
I am. I'm going with the hazy IPA from the Athletic Brewing Company in my back catalog listening party pint glass.
Oh my gosh,
the only
the
way to drink a
glass.
beer, man. Yep. And Lizzie, are you enjoying anything special?
I am. I'm having an orange and cream polar seltzer in my Shout Your Abortion drink holder to remind us to be loud and proud. And I've got a little something on the side that I might spark up later.
All right.
Excellent. Well, we like that.
Let's get the weekend started.
That's right. And I am enjoying, because the summery vibes, I'm still feeling them, a peach gin and tonic.
Ooh, yum.
All right. Well, cheers to you both. And cheers to all of you out there. Like Ellen said, if you're out there, let us know. This is a party and it's more fun when everybody participates. And if you do have questions or comments for Lizzie throughout the hour, throw them in the comments. We'll try to get to all of them before the end of the hour.
Exactly. And we are going to be revisiting Lizzie No's 2019 album Vanity. But before we dig into the record, Lizzie, I'm pretty familiar with you and your music, and some of the other hats you wear. But for those who are maybe less familiar, maybe you want to give a brief origin story of like where you grew up and how you fell into making music.
Yeah. I'm going to try to keep it short, and you need to be accountable to cut me off if I go too long. I was born in the Bronx, raised in New Jersey. I've lived all over the States, but I have music in the blood. So many people in my family are artists and musicians, not necessarily professionally, but the creative spirit is strong. And my sister and I grew up singing and taking classical music lessons. And it was a really it was a classical discipline that I was like brought into as a kid, and started writing my own songs in high school. And I feel like my real origin story as a singer-songwriter was when I made the switch from playing classical music to sitting in the practice room learning songs by the Cranberries and Bob Dylan and Brandy Carlisle on my harp in high school. And that's when I realized, oh, I'm a harpist, but I can be a singer-songwriter too.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's, I think this is just a good reminder. So many folks think, oh, if I'm a singer-songwriter, especially in like the folk kind of Americana world,
Yeah.
like I have to play guitar, which, you know, and this is also Tony and I both being banjo players.
Yeah.
We would say, no, that's not the case. You can play any instrument that you can accompany yourself on. So
I think you need a rhythm instrument to be a songwriter. And guitar is a great rhythm instrument. Like there's a reason it's so dominant in, you know, folk and Americana. But if you can treat your instrument as a rhythm instrument, it just will bring another element to your songwriting that somebody else might not have. I've definitely found that with the harp.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So when you started, you know, maybe trying to figure out songs on the harp, and you said that was high school. So you know, were you then you're like, oh, did that affect your college path or your path after high school?
Not really. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've always, and I kind of still always have this feeling of like, when is somebody going to bust in and tell me I need to get a real job? Like, when are the adults in charge going to tell me to like get back on the straight and narrow? I was a very like straight A rule following kid. And so get into the good college, choose a slightly more practical major than music, you know, do the internships, do all of that was like what I thought you did to become a successful adult. And I remember I worked at a research lab at Stanford University, and I was working on like political science research and voting data, and it was such cool work. And I remember being like 21, just like sitting there coding, but I always would have a tab open to have music playing. And over time, I was spending a lot more time kind of focusing on what music was in the corner than, you know, whatever equations were on the left side of my screen. So I had to kind of admit that I wanted to do this with my life.
Love that. And I also love that you said left side of the screen and right side of the screen, like left brain, right brain.
I'm a poet. I'm going to make it visual for you.
I love it. And so this album we're going to talk about today, Vanity, where does that fit in your discography?
It's my second solo album. I put out 2 albums independently, the scrappy way that so many songwriters I'm sure that have come on the show have done things. And I just released my 3rd album, my first time working with a label. So second album, we'll get into it, I'm sure.
Excellent. Well, we are definitely going to get into it right now. And we're ready for some music to kick off our weekend. So the first song that you picked to feature is called Narcissus. Is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
I think it would be good for people to know the basic story of Narcissus from Greek mythology. Narcissus was a famously beautiful young hunter. He was famous for being beautiful and for knowing that he was beautiful. Echo was a wood nymph who fell super hard for Narcissus and would follow him around the forest, echoing everything that he said. But he was wicked and self-centered, and he spurned her advances. Her awful fate was to, I think, just continue echoing forever and ever and never be able to say anything of her own. And his awful fate was to catch sight of his own reflection in a river, become so entranced by it that he leaned over into it, fell into the river and drowned, and basically turned into a flower. So I took the Greek myth and set it in modern day Brooklyn. And that's all I'll say about that.
Awesome. Let's give it a listen now. This is Lizzie No, Narcissus here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Most days I walk in the woods and nobody sees me. I see myself as a great pretender in grown-ups clothing, up on tiptoe by the water's edge. And it was quiet for so long that when I met you, it had to be a sign. when I was warned about turning men into gods, treating love like it's vanity, so we came clean, and I've been busy. It's alright, you don't miss me anymore. I used to be so open, I'd read my horoscope, and I believed some things were meant to happen. Now I'm not so sure, 'cause I keep on breaking my own
Yeah. Lizzie No with Narcissus from her 2019 album Vanity, which we're revisiting today on the back catalog listening party with Lizzie joining us live from her home in Nashville. And as you mentioned, that song, a modern day take on the Greek myth and taking place in Brooklyn. And we have Benjamin Miller, past guest from the band The Federales, joining
Benjamin,
us.
I saw you pop into the chat. Hello. I'm so glad to see you in here.
Yeah. So great to have you all here. If you just joined the party, let us know where you're tuned in from, if you're enjoying a beverage or a snack. And of course, if you have questions or comments about the music. And my comment is, wow, there is so much going on in that track. I mean, there's like so many vocals I will say, you mentioned that this is was your second album and self-released. And it sounds like a big studio album.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you
it does.
so much. Oh man. I got so many emotions rushing back. Do you know, like, the last time I sat down and listened to that song from beginning to end, like, and remembering being in my drummer Nick Rapley's like home studio, like in Flatbush, like recording track after track after track, and like everybody being in this super hot closet to sing and yell like, "You're a liar." Like I threw the entire band in the room, and then we were like, we still need more. So it was like guitars on 12 strings on mandolins. Like, I've never put so many like tracks in a song ever before, but that was
Epic.
so fun.
Wow. And so you were mentioning that this is in your friend's like home studio situation.
Yeah.
Did you bring in and like a extra engineer, producer? Was this all sort of like you and your band members?
It was all band members, actually. Do you know Bartees Strange? Bartees was my lead guitarist at the time, and like we started this album together, and he had a huge hand in producing as well. So it was like, I think we all just like trusted each other that we had it. Like someone in the band has what's needed. I think we were right. Like it was oh man, I feel so proud of that song because I just remember feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, and we're just throwing a million instruments on it, but it still also felt like an Alanis Morissette moment, and everyone like had so much fun. That whole
I loved
summer
watching
we were
you
recording.
listen back to that one, Lizzie. You were loving it, and that really made it for me. And I saw you singing along at the end with the chorus of voices, and like Ellen said, there was just so many different things happening in that song.
Yeah.
Like when you were putting this together with your bandmates, was this a collaborative effort in terms of like, hey, let's add this part here and let's have these voices there, or was this just kind of happen organically, or did you have this kind of stuff in mind when you composed the song?
A lot of it I did have in mind, especially when it comes to vocal arrangements. That's usually the first thing I'll think about. Like if I need a choir of people, like that's one of the first things that'll like ignite my imagination about a song. So I'll think like, oh, I want a gospel choir on this. Or this one, it was like, I want all the boys to sing at the top, like as loud as they can. I want it to sound like a punk band singing over like a country song. So like those are the types of things I first get into. But Bartees and Nick had they had such great ideas. And Nick, I mean, he would spend days being like, oh, I tried out putting an organ on the song. Let me know what you think. And like, we would just, throw stuff at the wall and then kind of really make the hard choices and shed some tears in the mix.
I was going to say that seems like it would be the hardest part
Yeah.
of that when you have that much, so many great tracks. And
Mhm.
one thing I was impressed with was not just that there was a lot happening, because you can always record more tracks,
Right.
but it's that it was so like it felt so thought out, and like
Oh, thank
like
you.
from the big choruses to how it breaks down at the end, it felt
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
there was like a natural life to it, and it didn't. So you must have made a lot. I'm guessing you had a lot more that you just kind of carved out to get
Yeah.
that.
I think we had so many guitars on this album that like it was a delight. It was a delight.
So you mentioned guitars.
Mhm.
Obviously, you mentioned harp was your first
Mhm.
instrument, and you were writing some songs on that too.
Mhm.
Do you write songs usually on the harp first, or do you do guitar? Or is it? I know in shows you play both. So.
Um, Different songs have different tendencies. Like if I'm gonna write a waltz, it's gonna start on the harp usually. Um, there's like certain types of songs that just want to be written on guitar.
Mhm.
I think most of this album I started on the guitar. Even a couple of the ones. Is that true? Sometimes I'll like write what I think is a harp riff, and then I'll realize it's actually a guitar part. You
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
and yet, like it's like, oh, I was almost there, but I just had the wrong instrument,
Mhm.
and I just walk around my house like you got to pick up each one and see if that part is for that instrument.
Excellent.
That's cool. I didn't think I heard any harp on this one, but I heard like maybe some piano strings or somebody was plucking something in there.
Yes, I think it was the top of piano.
That was
And
cool.
no, there was no harp on this. The one thing of the kitchen sink that we didn't throw in.
But you got the piano strings in there,
Mhm.
so it's harp like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Christiana. Oh, and I see a good question in the comments. Do you mind if I answer it?
Not at
No.
all.
Let's
And that
read
was
it
going to
for
be our
those who
next.
are just listening. This is from our friend Joe. He asks,
I
who
love
were you
that.
listening to most influenced by maybe in 2019 when the album came out?
When you drop the episode, I want to share a link to like every time I make an album, I make a big playlist of all of
Mhm.
the influences, like top to bottom, and they don't seem to have to do with each other at all. But when I was making Vanity, I always listen to a lot of Kathleen Edwards.
Mm.
Like I think her records are just like the standard of what an Americana record should sound like. The drum, like, or like a Nikki Lane record, right? Like the
Mm.
drums are going to sound massive. You're going to have some really pretty guitar sounds, but mostly you're going to hear like a powerful adult woman's voice, like produced really beautifully, and some like badass, funny, super sad lyrics. So that's like, I feel like those were some of my North Stars. And like Tracy Chapman has some records that just sound like they were made 10 years from now.
Mhm.
You know, like Telling Stories. That song is like it's like a folk song that's enormous.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then some like, you know, I'm always listening to like The Starting Line, and I like pop punk. And I
Mhm.
think that is always a part of my records when I make them.
Yeah, you could hear a little bit of that in that
Mhm.
last track for sure.
And I love that you also mentioned like Alanis Morissette. I'm guessing that was
Mhm.
more of an influence
Yes.
probably when you were
Totally.
first starting to write songs and
Mhm.
stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it has just like a power ballad jam happening. So if you have
Memories.
comments or questions for Lizzie, I'll throw them in the
Mhm.
comments, and we're going to dig more into this record, Vanity, that came out in 2019.
Mhm.
This next track, Phantom Limb. Is there anything you want to say about this before you take a listen?
Nope.
All right.
Excellent.
This is Lizzie No, Phantom Limb here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I hope you won't remember me on this dirty snowbank, crying on the street. Just think of who I was, girl of September. You made me dinner and we ate it all on the floor. Now look at my heart, it's broken, and you're the one who did it. But what the hell can I do about it? Being right never healed a thing. Yeah. Of course you can get close to me. You tried it once, but it was just pretending. And anytime I thought I was holding your hand, I was holding on to a phantom limb. Now look at my heart, it's broken, and you're the one who did it. But what the hell can I do about it? Being right never healed a thing, yeah. Yeah. I wish that you were different, then I wish that you were better, then I wish that we never met. 'Cause look at my heart, it's broken, and you're the one who did it. But what the hell can I do about it? Being right never healed a thing, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Lizzie No with
Nice.
Phantom Limb from her 2019 album Vanity, which we're revisiting today. And yeah, very different from the first track we heard. Like definitely hear the harp, but also all those, violins. I don't
Yeah.
know how many
Yeah.
tracks of whatever is playing on there,
I want
but
to know about that too.
So this is what I was trying to remember earlier about how this song started as a guitar riff. The da, 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 and that's something that I play a lot as a guitarist. But I had arranged it for harp because I was just trying to do a Carly Rae Jepsen cover. Anyway, never did the cover, but it taught me that like, oh, that riff actually works really nicely on the harp, and it can be like kind of a a pop punk kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
Anyway, everybody really bodied it, huh? And like Rohan Advani, who was my bassist at the time, he had just like such a punk rock jazzy feel every time we got on stage. It was so fun playing with him. And then Bobby Hawk, the fiddle player, who is such a monster. He plays on, I think, like all of Taylor Swift's records now. Such a great player. He came into the studio on a day I wasn't even there. I was just like, can you just like throw a bunch of noise on there? And like he and Nick worked together and they, they had tons and tons of parts, and we narrowed it down to that. And then of course, like the most fun and cathartic thing was doing that vocal, which I wanted to feel really dry and like grab you by the throat, and then record a ton of screaming and like what I describe as like any show of mine. Like you've been to my show, I'm always doing an off mic yawp that's like just for the band and just for me. Like you should just be viscerally shouting if you're, if you're passionate enough. So we got to record a bunch of them, which is so fun.
That's awesome. I love the interplay of the strings and like the electric guitar sounds. Like at some point, they just started melding together in the coolest way. I just love, the melting pot of sounds in these tracks that we're listening to.
Yeah, and I also the lyrics. I know we've been talking a lot about the music because there's so much going on musically, but being right never healed a thing. I love that.
But yet, being right never healed a thing yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this might be the time I actually like, get to be right and get to have it matter.
Right. I love that. And so where did this song start from? Like, what was the
Oh
seed?
my God. This is the most like raw and real. I had to like force myself to put it on this playlist for this conversation because I never write songs like this. Like I always try to get some distance from a difficult event before I'll write about it because I just think that's best practice. But this was a rough breakup song that I wrote like almost in the moment that it happened, maybe a couple weeks later. And like it's rough when you go through a breakup and then you start Googling and you start learning about attachment types and you're like, oh, that was so dismissive, avoidant of you. Like you couldn't even like be really with me at the time. You know, like every time I thought I was accessing you, every time I thought I was holding your hand, I was just holding the memory of someone else. Like that's how deep that heartbreak went. And so I just like poured it all in and sang it like right away. Yeah.
And yacht. Which is really helpful in the recovery process, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to do it, man. You have to just do it in the moment, like you did, and you could feel the passion in this recording.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. That's sometimes you do need to actually record the like a little too raw, a little messy song because it reminds you that you have access to that intensity. It's there.
And it resonates with all of us, you know, because we are all messy.
I never thought about
that. And do you find like songs like this that are that kind of have that sort of real personal rawness to them? Is this a kind of song that like once you record, you're like, okay, I've done that. I've gotten that out of my system. I'm not like performing it. I'm not, you know, or is this a song that you like still do and you've just readjusted to it?
You know what? I haven't been doing this song that much just because we've been so heavy on promoting the new album and playing all of the new stuff. But now that you mention it, I should bring it back because I have a couple of the same players, but I have an amazing band now. And it would be so fun to like have this song have another life.
Excellent. So if you go out to see Lizzie No at a show, and you should, because there's a lot of dates on her calendar. If you go to LizzieNo.com, you can be one of the people who's like, play Phantom Limb, Phantom Limb. Yeah.
That's right.
And demand it. And
listen, as long as you're not yelling Freebird or White House Road, I'm good. God bless. I mean, great songs. God bless.
If you play banjo, it's dueling banjos or these days wagon wheel, pretty much.
That's
what it is.
That's not what you came to play, though.
Exactly.
The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Supporting the show with small and large donations every month, this committed group of music lovers keep the party going and enjoy special perks like getting first look at our upcoming guests and invitations to private after parties and live stream performances with the artists. If you'd like to learn how you can become a patron of the show, please visit patreon.com/backcataloglisteningparty. I just have to comment on this Jocelyn's remark here, who chimed in and said, I have to readjust my brain to think of harp as a badass percussion instrument.
Okay, wait. Can we talk about that for a second? That is such a good point, Jocelyn. I feel the same way. And you know what that's down to? Say it with me, white supremacy. We don't know as much about like the rhythmic origins of these like delicate instruments. Like I feel like with banjo and harp and kora, like there's this like amazing global tradition of these types of instruments being used in such different ways, but we just don't know about them. So it's exciting to get to learn about like kora traditions and like non-white stringed instrument traditions.
And the percussion, like you say, I mean, that is at the heart of a lot of these instruments, especially the banjo.
Yeah, for sure. Well, again, if you like what you're hearing, you should, because man, there's so much going on.
Yeah. This is definitely a headphone record.
It's a headphone record, folks. So if you, no matter how you are listening to the show, you want to get the high res files because it will sound the best that way. And Lizzie No does have physical copies at her website. So if you go to LizzieNo.com, she can send you a copy of the CD. If you do that, there's no better way to support an artist than by buying their music. And then you get to enjoy it in the most audio full way you can.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I do have CDs. If you buy a CD and email me that you were in this chat, I will write you a little note on the CD.
Cool.
Awesome. Yay.
Grab the merch.
That's right. And I should say, in addition to this album that we're talking about, Vanity, that came out in 2019, you mentioned you have a new record out called Halvesies, which is so
Halvesies.
good.
Oh,
so
thank
good.
you.
And so you want to pick that up. And she's some other cool merch, because I picked up a baseball cap at your show in St. Paul. It just says no. And I just love it so much. It's like, I feel like it can mean so much depending on your mood.
It means so much.
Especially for a woman wearing a hat that just says no.
Yeah.
No.
Today I saw a TikTok of a little girl. She was in one of those baby backpacks, and she was being brought on a hike. And her mom said, "Are you enjoying the hike?" She was like 2 years old. "No." Do you want to keep having fun out in the woods? No. And when you're 2, you can't really express that you don't want to be on a hike, and you don't know how to say, "I'm uncomfortable," but like you have your no.
Yes, exactly. Have the no.
Have your no.
And you can be in the know and get all this cool stuff if you go to LizzieNo.com. And again, if you say that you heard her on the Back Catalog Listening Party, you'll get a special note on your album. And we're going to keep digging into this album, though, Vanity, because I'm just really digging this so much. So next song, Born and Bred. Is there anything you want to say about this?
Yes. Okay. So one of the hallmarks of being a singer-songwriter, especially when you're starting out, is your friends and family are like trying to be supportive. And sometimes they'll say things like, "Oh, damn it, I missed my exit again. Why don't you put that in one of your songs?" You know, like well, why don't you go on American Idol? Well, why don't you write about this and that? Okay. I don't like to take family members' suggestions, but I grew up in New Jersey, and I was driving to the mall with my mom. She missed her exit. And she was like, "We've lived here for 35 years. And these exits are so hard to find. You still like get lost on these New Jersey highways. The signs are poor. The signage is poor." And I was like riding with my mom, who is like such a strong person. And like raised my sister and myself as a single mom. Like, that is really hard work. And there's no one to ask, like, am I doing it right? And like, I'm not a parent, but I was like, you know, a few years out of college trying to figure it out. And I was like, oh, like no one can teach you to like hold it together and like be there for someone. So the signs. Anyway, that's what's going on.
Excellent. This is Lizzie No, Born and Bred, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Driving by the big box store, jug handle to the simplex. A shingled house beside Route 1, where we put the dog down. And I'm wondering out loud how strangers ever find their way. 'Cause you could see the signs that tell you where to go. I was born and bred here, and I still don't know. I was born and bred here, and I still don't know. We bought jam from a little white tent in the parking lot. When it's too soon for greens, you take what you can get. I'm surprised as anyone that you and I are turning out just fine. I'm not the girl I was so afraid I'd be. We're paying our dues and our bills on time. We're paying our dues and our bills on time. tell me why your lungs won't fill. And I'm wondering out loud if the neighbors just might keep it down. For once, no one taught me how to keep my shit together. For someone else, no one taught me how to keep my shit together. For someone else.
An ending that sounds like an ending. That was great.
Oh my God, the sitcom ending.
I love it. And that was Lizzie No with Born and Bred, talking about all kinds of things, but Joe picking up on the New Jersey signs. And
Oh
I will
my
say,
gosh. Yes, I forgot to even introduce that. That was the most
Candle,
important thing. Thank you, Joe.
and
You have to like go make a right turn
to
like
make a
the little-
left. In fact, Eddie from Ohio, this band from Virginia, they used to have they had a song called "No Left
Thanks,
Turns in
Linda.
Jersey."
Oh, really?
Mhm. It's all about that. How you can't take a left. Everything is a
Yeah.
right. Very weird. And yeah, and Alinda says great variety of sounds in
Thank
these
you.
songs we've heard, and Connie saying great sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, just really just kicking it. And
Yeah.
Oh, thank
hey,
you.
I mean,
This feels very fun to listen back to because I remember like being in that band. That
yeah.
was so fun.
I was going to say this album has, even though a bunch if you look at the like lyrical elements, you know, they're kind of heavy and
Yeah.
sad.
They sure are.
But it feels so exuberant. Like it
Yeah.
feels
Oh,
like
thank you.
cathartic, like you're
Mhm.
shedding something. I don't
You know
know.
what I was thinking the other night? I was driving from Birmingham home and listening to Sheryl Crow's self-titled from 1996. And like that is what I was kind of trying to channel in that, where it's like Cheryl will have like some of the most sensitive, like gut-wrenching, super specific, like politically conscious lyrics. And so you'd think it would be heavy, but you can hear in her vocal performances that she knows she's hot shit. And she's like, she's Sheryl Crow. And it's so fun. And the drums are always great. Like, that's a North Star.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, this has come up a lot on the show over the years, but the juxtaposition of the lyrical content with the sounds, and like music's one of those art forms where you can feel two things at once,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's what what you're actually feeling. And
dude, that I
love
felt
that.
like the Jersey highway, like closing my eyes listening to that. Like you're kind of in traffic and it's very hot, but you're like in the car with your friend on the way to the mall. And there's kind of like no greater nirvana,
I love that. That's great. And if you're loving it the way we're all loving it, then you can pick up this album Vanity. If you go to LizzieNo.com, you can pick up Lizzie No's new record, halvesies, all the merch, all the stuff, tour dates. Yeah, that's what you want to do.
Thank you guys.
LizzieNo.com. But I also want to mention that in addition to supporting Lizzie's music, we always usually pass the tip jar for the artist so they can, fill up their gas tank from Birmingham to Nashville or wherever they're headed. But Lizzie wanted to pass the hat for another wonderful cause. Do you want to talk about it, Lizzie?
Yes, I would love to talk about it. So I am an abortion advocate, as you can see on my drink koozie, and I serve on the board of directors for Abortion Care Tennessee, which is an abortion fund that helps folks in Tennessee who need to, whether pills by mail or travel out of state to get abortions, because we do have a total ban here in Tennessee. So we are like so in need of money to just get people the healthcare. It feels so difficult to like even have to explain like, oh, there shouldn't be this ban. We shouldn't have to do this stuff. But you know what? We got us. And as Tennesseans, we have to take care of each other. So I have a link to the abortion fund, tell a friend. Yeah, thanks for letting me talk about this cause. It's really important to me.
And especially for those who are not in a situation like that, in states where things, have, where the politics are a little different. Not everybody knows
yes,
what's
so
going
important.
on in some parts of this country.
But you know what we call states like that in the reproductive justice movement is receiving states, because those states are often the safe havens where patients are traveling to. So it's like almost more important for folks in states that don't have a ban to really be like speaking up about this issue and donating.
Yeah, for sure.
It's such a good point.
And speaking as someone who is based in one of those receiving states, we want to help people get the care they need. And so whether that's getting someone from Tennessee to Minnesota, or whether it's getting them pills or whatever they need to be healthy and autonomous.
Being free, Tennessee, let's go.
That's right. So abortioncaretn.org. There's also a link in the comments. We'll also make sure it goes in our show notes. If you are just listening to the show, to the audio version, if you go to backcataloglisteningparty.com and you go to this show episode with Lizzie No, you'll find links to all the things we're talking about, including her website and Abortion Care Tennessee. So
one last point is that if you come to a live show, I will likely have Plan B for you if you need it. And literature on where to get abortion care. So don't be shy to come up to me at a show and ask about that.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, thank you for the work you're doing on that front.
Thanks for listening.
So important. Well, and while we are thanking people, we want to thank our patrons. These are the folks that keep this show going. Back Catalog Listening Party has been going on now for 4 years, 4.5 years. Congrats. Wow. And it's all because of these folks who continue to keep the party going from week to week. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Ellen, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, Hetty, it's Sandy, and maybe you. If you want to join our Patreon party, you can go to patreon.com/back catalog listening party, and you can get invitations to attend these live tapings. You can also get invitations to special after parties with guests. You can get that cool Founders Back Catalog Listening Party pint glass. Yes. And so while supplies last, so you want to jump in on the Patreon bandwagon while you can. And again, these are the folks that really have been our company, not just supporting the show, but have really been our community over the last 4 years, especially when everything was shut down. So
I'm so glad you guys have kept this going. I feel like so many of the cool online spaces that we had then have dwindled. This is a really sweet vibe.
Well, and
thank you.
Well, and it's made sweeter by having guests like you, Lizzie, and having all these folks join in and listen and be a part of the conversation. But one of the things we have found is most important is the community, but also celebrating art that maybe didn't get the attention deserved, or it did, and then the next big thing comes along and people move on, and it seems like a shame when we know how much of your soul and money and time you put into these recordings. It seems a shame to not celebrate them more. And you were saying before we came on the air today that you were like, I love this record. And it was so beautiful. You were so unabashedly happy and proud about it, because sometimes artists are like, they're excited, but they're also a little nervous, to like, revisit their old selves can be scary and vulnerable.
You know what? I decided a few years ago that I am a Black woman and I do not have the luxury of self-deprecating. No, thank you. I will admit if I'm wrong or I need to learn. But when it comes to these dope albums I made, come on. With my friends, we all got together and like we played music and we just got it down and we worked really hard. And of course, like it sounds like such a fun time capsule, but like still contemporary. Like I stand by these. So
nice.
Oh man, it was so fun. And when I listen back, like I often think like, oh, maybe I'm a better performer than I was then, or maybe I would have done XYZ technically. But it's like, it's more a celebration of like, look what I was able to make with like an idea and some friends. Ugh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel that way when I listen to my friends' records too. I'm like, you did it again.
Yeah. And it's so important. I mean,
Mhm.
we need this. We need more art in this world, and we need people
Yeah.
to celebrate it. And I love that. You know, I love your enthusiasm for all the art that you're making, whether, you know,
Oh, thank
you're in
you.
a different place or not. I think that is really important. And
Yeah. And
yeah.
I would love, yeah, I'm the more I'm listening to this, the more I want to revisit these songs because you evolve as a musician and there's new folks in the band. So it's like, oh, what would today me do with that
That same
song?
song.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. The Back Catalog Listening Party is brought to you by EFS Publicity. Founded by veteran publicist, promoter, DJ, and musician Ellen Stanley, EFS brings an artist's perspective to the table, working to help clients get to the next level in their career. Services include national and international media campaigns, radio promotions, tour press, crowdfunding, grant writing, and more. Get a quote or set up a consultation today at efspublicity.com. Well, after talking about celebrating this great record and these dope songs, because I'd agree, it feels weird to go to this next song because it's called Pity Party. But
It's exactly where we need to go.
oh, is there anything you want to say about it?
This song is a hymn. It's not just for the here and now. I think that it's for the part of us that's underneath the ground, that's connected at different points.
This is Lizzie No, Pity Party here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
I've been in a little pain of my own design. Here at the pity party, weeks on end. I've been staying up too late, drinking cheap red wine. Looking through my phone for the name of an old friend. Nothing's gone the way I planned. I've been all over, all over. I keep working harder than I can, starting all over and over again. My mind always wandered off when I tried to pray. I was daydreaming of standing on my own. Grow your ego tall enough to give you a little shade. Then don't complain when it blocks out the sun. Nothing's gone the way I planned. I've been all over, all over. I keep working harder than I can, starting all over and over again. Every time I play my songs for a couple of friends, it lights a match for dark times to come. And every day I manage not to throw the towel in. It's counted in my favor in the long run. Nothing's gone the way I planned. I've been all over, all over. I keep working harder than I can, starting all over, all here at the pity party weeks on end.
All right. Lizzie No with
Nice.
Pity
Oh.
Party here on the back catalog listening party from her 2019 album Vanity, which we're revisiting today with Lizzie. If you have any
Thank you.
comments or questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments. Joni was asking about any thoughts of
Oh, yeah.
reimagining this or another album today. You were already talking about maybe reimagining the songs live with your current band, but are there any songs or things you think, oh, I'd like to re-record that because the song has
Yes.
evolved so much?
I am a maniac about that. Yes. I love that. Nothing makes me happier than like bringing a new set of people and experiences and time on the road and like grabbing it in a new recording. I'm doing a little bit of that in a little live project I'm working on. So short answer, yes.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Cool. Well, I just wanted to ask you about the production on that last track. It sounded like perhaps it was recorded in a different space or there was some ambient noise being pumped in. I'm curious about what that was and how that ties into the tune or what was going on there.
Yes. So on each of my records, and I want to make it a permanent tradition, I always have one song where I sing and play at the same time. And it's like it should be something that feels very emotional and locked in, and maybe the timing's a little wavy, but like we're going with the demo or we're going with the live version because that's where we really got it. We did it with the Killing Season on Hard One. This one we did Pity Party, and on Halvesies it was Morning Dove Waltz. But yeah, Nick Rapley, the drummer and one like my co-producer, has this beautiful acoustic Gibson. I just like fell in love with it. There's a picture of it that I sent.
Oh, yeah.
That photo of me with that gorgeous guitar is the day we recorded Pity Party, and it was in the summer and it was really hot, I think, and Pro Tools kept crashing in between takes. So I did like a bunch. Oh yeah, you have it. I did a bunch of live takes, but we just like stayed with it throughout an afternoon and did it. And then I think at that point, Graham Richman had joined the band, and he played that like, he always plays like the sparsest, cleanest, really emotive guitar solos.
I was going to comment on that.
It's all over the new record, but this was, I think, the first time that he and I worked together. So it just like all felt very magical. And I had written that song at like a really dark time in my life. And I feel like I can hear in my own voice at the end of the song, it's like, oh, I made it. Like here at the Pity Party, like we made it through this like kind of like slightly glitchy, but ultimately cool recording process. And I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the singing, oh my gosh, Bartiz and Nick and Graham, the vocals on that just break my heart. Oh, they did such a good job.
So good.
And sorry, there's one more person that I didn't mention. I have this like love affair with the upright bass, and Daniel Winshaw came in and played a couple of tunes, Loyalty and Pity Party. And I need to listen to that recording more often because he's so talented.
And that recording of his bass on that track
was so good. So
superb.
Good.
Yeah.
Good job.
So
Nick.
Warm and woody and I love that.
It feels like a blanket, which is what you want at the Pity Party. You want to be wrapped up.
Yeah, you guys have to like look at the pictures of the studio because it was like we were like living in there. It was so cozy.
I was going to ask you, how long did this whole process take? Because if you're laying down all these tracks, I mean, like even just I was thinking about even the first song we listened to, when we were talking about like, I don't even know how many 50 tracks. I have no idea how many were on that. But like that all takes time, especially if you're working in a smaller space where you have to like re-record over everything. So how long did you?
And also we all had full-time jobs, full-time jobs, sometimes more than like I was working as a nanny. Like I was like a primary caregiver for a young child in like on like near Lincoln Center. And then I would have to like, I lived in Crown Heights and then in Queens. And then I would have to take the harp on the Q train down to Flatbush. It was chaotic. Oh my
So
God.
how long did
That
this
pity
take?
party
Was this like a year?
so real. Like 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. Wow. Yep.
Wow.
Oh, and we were also fully touring. Like, how did we do it?
I don't
That's
know.
How does any band do it? I'm not saying like I'm so special, but I'm like, how does
Yeah.
anyone like have a job and try to make art and like try to be a person? It was
Do it because you have to, I think.
yeah. Being in your 20s is like a whole other thing.
Well, I think we have some other photos as well from that you sent, some behind
Oh
the scenes
yes.
photos, including
Here,
some from the photo shoot from this cover, by
Oh
the
my
way.
gosh.
And we have to
Yes.
talk about this.
Yes.
I love the play on Vanity, like in being in the bathroom and
I know.
Yes.
all that. So
It was like my Narcissus, like country girl, country glam. Anna Azaroff is an amazing LA photographer. She came, it was my boyfriend at the time, his apartment. I was like, can I take over your apartment? We hadn't even been dating that long. I was just like, I love your blue tiles. And I scrubbed the tiles. Today's me would never clean a man's bathroom, but I wanted it for my own purposes. So I did it. And we tore up the background from the cover shoot, from like the pink picture, and then put it in the bathroom.
Oh,
So if you're
nice.
just listening to the podcast version, we are looking at a bathtub full of of torn up papers. Like Ellen said earlier, all these pictures and links and stuff can be found at backcatalog.listeningparty.com.
Yeah, really cool.
It was fun to like do the play between Vanity in the bathroom. And also, wait, I need to say that if people see the cover, do you have the cover?
Oh, yep. 1 second. Let me get that here.
Because I'm wearing this like amazing pink bathrobe. And yes, my mother was given this bathrobe as a gift when I was born. So the first photos taken of me, I'm being held in this very robe.
Oh, that is
Victoria's
so cool.
Secret, 1990. The quality still holds up. Sorry.
Awesome.
Okay, we can move on.
That's
Wow.
amazing. No, I love it.
Well, speaking of moms, my mom said, I've been admiring how clean and shiny those tiles are. So she's
Thank
impressed with
you.
your
Thank
cleaning
you.
work. Yeah.
All right. We had a couple other pictures here. We got to.
Oh, yes. This was from the Loyalty music video. Okay. So we didn't end up doing this one, but we did some cool videos for this record. This was Annalisa Lockhart directed. These were the dancers for the Narcissus music video, and Mary Glenn Frederick directed the video. That was a whole other scrappy adventure. We were driving out to the Hamptons. I was deathly ill when we did all this choreography. Anyway, the music video is worth checking out if you like the song.
And we will link to that for sure.
For sure.
I play both Narcissus and Echo, and then there is choreo.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, again, you can find links to all these things at backcatalog.listeningparty.com. I don't know where the hour has gone.
I know.
This is
happened?
so fun.
I know.
What
This has
happened?
really been a wonderful hour of
So
Thank you so much
conversation.
for taking the time with my record.
Oh, are you kidding? I would spend a whole nother hour. So we'll have to have
so
you
fun.
back on to talk about more back catalog.
Oh, yes.
Future. And follow Lizzie No on all the places, because in addition to being a singer, songwriter, harpist, guitarist, abortion advocate, she also is co-host of the really wonderful podcast, Basic Folk. And we'll have a link to that too at backcatalog.listeningparty.com. Basically, follow everything Lizzie does.
Basic Folk is so fun. We have really, really, really cool interviews like out this year.
Yes. So
Awesome.
check it out. And thanks to all of you for joining us today on the Back Catalog Listening Party. This has been so much fun, and it's really the best hour of my week, every week.
Yeah, mine too.
And thanks for joining us, and make sure to follow us on all the places. And Lizzie, thank you so much for taking the time on your off time to chat with us.
Oh, thank you. And I just saw a comment from Joni. Every day that I don't throw the towel in is one that counts in my favor. Thank you for speaking about that.
Yes.
I just wanted to say hey and send you some love, Joni.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I love it. This is what it's all about here. And we hope to see y'all next week for another episode of the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on the Back Catalog Listening Party. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, which helps more people discover our show and our guests.
And do you want to be a part of the live show, get a first look at upcoming guests, and receive invites to private online parties and live streams? Then join our Patreon community at backcatalog.listeningparty.com.
Have a great week. We'll see you back here next Friday for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party.